Welcome to the Teen Life Podcast, where we believe that teenagers are not a problem to be solved, but we are here to help you equip teenagers through the power of connection. I'm Karlie Duke, and I'm excited today because we have special guests with us other than just Chris Robey, who's here like always. We also have...
You forgot me already.
I didn't forget you, I promise. But we also have Tobin Hodges, who's our program director for Teen Life, and Priscilla Morrison, who, Priscilla, your role is changing, so I don't know your title anymore.
It is. You know what? I don't know my role either. We're just gonna roll with it.
She's the queen of everything at Teen Life. That's what we'll say.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we are getting together we had our staff party at lunch. So if we get a little sleepy, we are in a food coma.
Lots of heavy food.
Yes. But we also wanted to get together and just talk about some Christmas fun, but also, I don't know, we'll end maybe with some tips for how to get through this next week of Christmas. But I wanted to start us off with, I want everyone to answer, what was your favorite tradition when you were a teenager?
I'll take this one first because
All right.
I absolutely loved going to see the lights with my mother and sister when I was a teenager. We lived in West Texas and everybody did it up big, just like the ladies did their hair to the sky. We'd do their Christmas lights there in Odessa, Texas. So it was always a wonderful time to see all of the beautiful lights around town.
I really liked the going to the movies when everybody was kind of done for the morning or whatever. Whenever like some of the cousins may have gone their own separate way, or we just kind of decided as a family that since everything is closed except for the movies, we're going to go see a movie together as a family. And there's always something fun coming out on that day usually too. So that was probably always my favorite tradition as a kid. Even as an adult and a parent too, that's one of my favorite things to do as well.
And Tobin, just to speak to that, I didn't know that was a possibility until much later in life. I had always assumed that theaters were closed on Christmas Day. And somehow I dismissed that you could go and get out of the house and get away from everyone and go watch a movie. So, man, I'm glad to know that.
Sounds like Mr. and Mrs. Robey were hiding something from you, so they didn't have to take you to the movies. So.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I know for me, my favorite tradition, especially whenever I was a teenager, we lived in Europe at the time. We were a military family, and we lived in Germany. And Germany, they do up Christmas big time over there. And it's also really cold too, so that helps. But they had these big outdoor Christmas markets that were called Kris Kringle Mart, I think. Yeah. And I remember the smell of them, believe it or not. That was however many years ago, but I can still smell them because they have these different spices and spiced wines and all these just great smells. And so I vividly remember that from my teenage years.
So
I think I didn't go.
Oh,
Tobin.
you didn't go. Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad.
Trying to cut me off. So when I was a teenager, my grandparents have a cabin in Colorado. And so we would go up to their cabin, and the week we got there, one of the first things we did is we would go hiking and find a Christmas tree to cut down and drag down the mountain and put it up. And that was just always so fun. I think it was exhausting, and it was always fun because we thought it would be small, and then you'd get it in the house and it was massive. And one year it fell over and smashed all the presents. But that was just always fun that we got to do that. And then we got to decorate the tree with popcorn and cranberries and lights. And I don't know. So I think when I think back on Christmas, that is like Christmas to me, is doing that together as a family.
Hold up real quick, Karlie. That seems too much like a Christmas commercial in my mind. Like, is someone are you also walking out of that? Are you also walking out of the house with a Lexus with a bow on it too?
Yeah, no, I wish.
Because that would be so Christmas commercial.
Yeah. Can I join your family for Christmas? That sounds better.
I was gonna say it was always fun, but there inevitably was some sort of argument of who was gonna finish cutting down the tree, which tree was it. some sort of, hey, you left me back there. Like
We don't need to know all that
situation.
stuff. That's the memory is good enough as it is, for sure.
Yeah, it was like a snow globe, just that perfect Christmas
That's funny.
magic.
Yeah.
So we talked about our favorite tradition, but I want to ask a question: is if you could watch one Christmas movie for the rest of your days, what Christmas movie would that be? I'm going to go to Karlie first since I already cut you off the first time. So Karlie, I'll let you
Thank
answer
you.
this one first this time.
And I have one for this because I have watched it in the summer before. I just love it so much. White Christmas is my favorite with Bing Crosby. Me and my dad try every year to go watch it. There's an old theater in Grapevine that we'll go watch it like at a theater. But oh man, it just brings all the Christmas feels, the dancing, the music. I love it.
I hate to admit that I've never seen that movie before, but
Well, now you have to watch it. I think it's on Netflix.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the older movies. My parents were real big on It's a Wonderful Life, and that one was kind of a hard sell for me. Chris,
This
what
is
about
way
you?
better.
What's yours? What's your go-to?
Oh, Die Hard. I'm
Yes.
just kidding.
Ooh.
Just had to bring that up to start that little timeless debate. I'm a big Elf fan, honestly. I'm a pretty easy one with that one. My kids are old enough to enjoy it and appreciate it, and it's got Bart humor and burping humor and all the stuff that they love too. And so it's just kind of one of those timeless. I'm a big Will Ferrell guy anyway, so it's probably pretty cliche, but I love it.
So we have one end of the spectrum and then another end of the spectrum. So Priscilla, why don't you find the middle place for us?
Oh, I don't know if I can. Home Alone is really where it's at. It's got all the music,
Oh, yeah,
all the
that's good.
tricks, all the great stuff. I mean, every year we are just dying laughing when that huge tarantula is on Murray and they come and they just smash it's just the best thing ever. Or burning your hand. I love it all. It never gets old.
It's great. I think if I had to choose, mine's kind of a deep cut. I really love Jingle All the Way because I remember seeing this for the first time when I was like 9 or 10 and just seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger, be this really distraught dad that hasn't quite figured out his priorities. And, that's the classic Christmas tale of dad screws up all the time and then screws up Christmas and he has to make it right. But just him finding this, Turbo Man, like action figure with Sinbad running around and, Phil Hartman, and
He's in that movie.
it's He's a mailman. They fight each other the whole time. Fantastic movie. I think it's one of those ones that when I went back to watch it as an adult, for me it still holds up. It's stupid, yeah, but it's a lot of fun. So, but I do love Home Alone and Elf are pretty regular like rotation movies for me as well.
Absolutely. So the question I have for the group when it comes to Christmas is: would you prefer a white Christmas or a Christmas in a warm weather resort? And tell us why.
I think that considering it is December whatever and I am wearing short sleeves today would tell you that I would much prefer a white Christmas. I super don't like the heat, and it kind of bums me out that I can still wear shorts in December in Texas. So I'm bringing on the snow guy. I would love to do white Christmas and white snow summer as well. So just give me all the snow and cold weather you can.
You're in the wrong state, Tobin.
I am very much so. Yeah.
I agree, though. I think definitely white Christmas. And like I said, we haven't been to Colorado for Christmas in a while, but there is something magical about like waking up on Christmas morning and it's snowing and you get to get in your coat and go outside and take pictures. I don't know. There's just something really, really sweet about that. But in Texas, we rarely get a white Christmas, if ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say that I would love a warm weather resort and that would be kind of great to be swimming and just hanging out on the beach, but I feel the same way. You got to have the white Christmas, It needs to feel cold outside for you to have all your loved ones around you that morning, or else they're just off, surfing or whatever it is that you do when you're at a warm weather place.
Well, I think what gets me mixed up is whenever you are in a certain environment and it's the opposite temperature of what it's supposed to be. So like last Christmas here, it was in the 90s in Texas. It was insane. But I vividly remember being a child, and my family's from Florida, and we were in Florida, and it snowed on Christmas in Florida.
Wow.
It was so trippy, and I didn't know what to make of it. But with that, I'm gonna have to. I want to be the contrarian, but I just really can't. On this, I really do. I really do enjoy a good cold weather Christmas. Colder the better. In fact, this year in Texas, it might actually be a nice cold Christmas. So
Mhm.
we're excited about that possibility for sure.
Probably no snow, though.
Probably not.
No. So I love decorating the Christmas tree with my daughter. It is just one of my favorite things to do. Pull out the ornaments, take a look at them, think about where they came from, where we've been. And so my question is, what is your favorite ornament? And tell me why. Karlie?
Hmm. This is hard. We collect ornaments. That's like our thing. When we go on a trip, we get an ornament. My parents did that. I try to get the kids an ornament every year. But I really think my favorite ornament is there's these ornaments that the kids have that they made at their preschool, probably around the age of 2. And Sawyer's is even funnier than Janie, but they're both funny. But they're like dressed up like Mary. They have like a fabric over their head and they're holding this baby and they're just staring down at it. And I don't know why it just makes me giggle every single time we open it. But that like homemade ornament and like the little feet and hands, I don't know, there's something really sweet about like looking back at when your kids were little. And so that's one. But I always love getting out the ornaments and remembering where we've been and memories.
I love that.
For sure, mine is a Seinfeld Festivus sweater.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I still don't really remember who got that one for me, but I'm a huge Seinfeld fan and love that episode and all the things from it. Matter of fact, I didn't know until probably 10 years ago that this December 23rd is Festivus, is what people consider Festivus. So I've got a buddy of mine. I'm on a text chain, and early in the morning we get text from him saying, "Happy Festivus. I have a lot of problems with you people." And it's a tradition like any other.
So when me and my wife got married, my wife is kind of a control person. She wants to have everything nice and neat and proper. But she had this great idea of with my son, in it being our first Christmas as a family together, and her, it was the first time having the stepson at Christmas, stuff like that. She wanted to take him to get an ornament, and we kind of continued that as the years. Every year she takes our boys to get an ornament. But the very first year, he's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old, and he completely challenged like her nice and prim, all matching ornaments, colors tree, and he rolls out with a poop emoji ornament, and she learned a pretty hard lesson that day of, you kind of you set the tone for letting the kids choose an ornament, and you kind of have to live with it. And so every year we get that ornament out, it just makes me laugh, and it's a good family memory, and it's a funny family memory. My oldest is 13, about to turn 14, and every year I make sure that ornament is like front and center of the tree. This year we added a kids tree so she could have her nice, clean, fancy tree. So that we got the catch-all tree now for the kids to have their stuff. But it's still one of my favorite memories and favorite ornaments, of just because it was kind of a cool, like, first time as a family doing that kind of thing. So, but
That's
it always
awesome.
it always puts a smile on my face.
Yes. My favorite ornament is the Hallmark little booties that I got the first year the kids were born. I'm such a sappy, sentimental mom, and
Mhm.
so anytime I see those, they're my favorite. And Tobin, I have to tell you this. I have 2 trees also. I have a pretty tree and I
Yeah.
have a crazy tree for
Yep,
the
that
kids.
tracks.
And those booties go on the pretty. It really does. And here's some advice for Jody. Give them options. Don't allow them to pick it out. Give them
Yeah.
options.
It's too late. She set the tone. She set the tone the first year, and that has been the tone every year. So I mean, every year we come to this time, she's just like, I really wish I wouldn't have done it this way. And so I'm like, well, you did it. So because now we have the little one doing it too. So this year the little one comes out with this just the, like, garish Buzz Lightyear ornament, and it's just fantastic. I love it so much. But
I've never
It's
heard of the kids tree and the proper tree before.
That's because you're not married to an Enneagram 1. So
I
that's
am.
probably. Oh, you
Don't give
are?
her.
Oh, I'm
Don't give her any
surprised.
ideas, please. For sure. Well, and if you guys will allow it, I have a follow-up question on this, because I feel like I've got a couple of ideas on this. Does anyone have any problematic Christmas decorations, like ones that either cause you like physical safety problems to put up, or are just really, really complicated and aren't worth the effort? Because the one that I could, I mean, two things. One is the star on top of the tree. Our tree's just a little too tall. Like I mean, as if that's a thing, but it's my responsibility to put the star on top of the tree. And like this last year, I felt like I was a little wobbly on it. Like I wasn't sure if I was going to go over with it, and I didn't like the experience. So, but no one else seems to want to do or can safely do it. So Dad gets to do it, and kind of injure my pride. And the other thing I was thinking of is, one year we bought a like a model train that would go around the bottom of the tree.
Oh,
And
that's
the problem is is like, it's like whoever built this thing, it was like engineer specs, like it has to be within a thousandth of a degree for that train to fit on the tracks and to actually go around and not pop off and go somewhere else. And my kids couldn't handle it because they wanted to turn it on, but it would just pop off the track every time, and it just wasn't worth it. And just lots of fights, and the train disappeared. I don't know what happened to it.
I think this year we had the same tree for years, and about 3 months ago, my wife saw a much larger tree on sale and came home with it without me knowing about it. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, that ain't gonna fit, because I think, being a person who thinks about measurements and stuff, like when I go buy things that for a house, I take a tape measure with me. My wife does not do that, and so she comes home with this 9.5-foot tree. I'm like, sweetheart, our ceilings are 9.5 feet. So let's see. So we got it out this year. So along that same note of doing the star and everything, and I was like, this star. So we put the tree up and quickly realized, like, okay, well, we can't turn the fan on for the rest of the month, which it's maybe okay, but it is about as tall as it can possibly be. And when we got to the star, I just looked at her. I was like, that's not happening. Like, it's not going to happen. So that might be my new stressful, dangerous thing to put up every year, unless I convince her to get a smaller one. But it doesn't have any kid ornaments, so she likes it. So
Yes.
Is it like the Grinch tree? It's just like kind
No,
of curved on top.
it's not like that, but it's the top of the tree is basically hitting the beam in the ceiling, and that's it is as close as it can be without a star on top.
That is awesome. That's
So
awesome. I don't. No, you go, Priscilla.
my husband, he's so frugal when it comes to Christmas lights. We've had a couple people come out and bid it, and I'm not going to let somebody charge me to put lights up.
Mm.
And I am deathly afraid of heights. I mean, I get on a 6-foot ladder, my lips start sweating. I mean, it is not good, guys. And so, but this man, he's like, I'm going to do the lights, but not only am I going to do them, they're going to look amazing. They're going to look the best. So he'll have this huge ladder leaned up against this little thin tree, and he's wrapping it around, and I'm there holding on for dear life. So that is always the most stressful part of our Christmas time, is putting up the lights outside of the house.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This year, I don't know about problematic, but this year I hung our stockings not from the fireplace because I didn't want to put holes in my mantle, but I hung them like from a garland on the fireplace, which I thought was going to be fine. But the kids have made a game of like pulling the other child's stocking off and like almost brought down like this huge mirror it's like attached to a mirror, which is attached to the man. And I was like, okay, maybe that was not the best choice, that they're flimsy enough that they can just like pull them off.
Which is so funny that Christmas gets to pass on all this kind of stuff. Like, you would never do any of this stuff any other time of year. Like, risk your life to put lights on your house. Like, no, but we do it for Christmas.
Well, and as soon as the neighbor came out and started
okay.
putting the lights out, you knew that we were going to get started doing it too. It brings out this inner competition that I never knew we even had.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
My stepdad is, we call him Clark Griswold because of that, because every year he has added something to their front lawn in their house arrangement, and now there's a neighbor down the street that is starting to compete with him. So every year he's watching to what they're doing, and if they add something, he goes and adds something. It's
Oh my
literally from
goodness.
a sitcom. It's just the most garish, amazing thing possible, but it's unreal. So that's why I just say we're not doing lights at our house because I don't want to die on a roof, and we can just go see Papa C's down at his house instead. So
You just go look at other people's lives. That's what you
yeah,
do.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, what I'm hearing, and I know we all feel this, is this time of year can also be stressful because you feel this pressure to like make it the best and that competitiveness. So, kind of to wrap up this episode, how can we keep this season less stressful, especially if we've got teenagers or kids in our house?
Mhm. I think the biggest thing that I preach this time of year, just as growing up as a product of a broken home, and also just kind of having that as an adult with my kids as well, is just remembering that this season is hard for some people for a lot of different reasons, and just having the empathy of, hey, like not everything has to be perfect, but also people are going through things, and have a little bit more empathy and give people more breaks. Like, they may have lost somebody this year, or they may not be having the Christmas they want to be having financially, or just all
Mm.
kinds of things. And just there's a lot of things going on for everybody this time of year. And just remember that the reason for the season, and just kind of remember that you are here to spend time with family and just celebrate the season and not worry about all the other things.
I think on top of that too, it's really we need to remember that it's okay to say no
Yeah.
to things,
Mm.
because there's just a lot of things we're invited to, and or things that are expected of us from the school side, especially students in
Hmm.
any kind of performing arts. There's concerts, there's plays, there's all these different things that are happening. I know for our family, and we were talking about this over our Christmas lunch today, that for our family in particular this year, it's been um, more of a stressful holiday season than I feel like it usually is. Just so many things happening like every single night. And we had a party that we were invited to that was going to be a blast, and we just had to look at each other and say we just can't do it.
Mhm.
We have to say no to something, and we hated to, but it was the right decision to say no when you have the opportunity to say no and just stay home or chill out or just be together as a family.
Yes, I agree.
I think some of that,
No, go ahead, Carly.
you go.
I
I think some of that too. Who's going?
Priscilla, you go. Please leave this in the podcast.
I think that it's hard being a perfectionist sometimes, or moms always wanting everything to be perfect for their kids. And so you just got to set the expectation with yourself sometimes that things aren't going to go the way that you
Mhm.
expect them to or want them to, like taking pictures with Santa. Kids always hate doing that. And so this year, I've set a new tradition for our family. And I think everything doesn't have to be perfect, but maybe if I can do that and focus on spending time with the people that I love, then that can help relieve some of the stress that comes along with the season.
Yeah, I think along with that, sometimes we add the stress and it has to be perfect and it has to be right. Like even things like if you're cooking or baking,
Mm.
that I've got to get this done and maybe look for ways to say, okay, let's take a deep breath and what can we do to connect? So maybe that is letting your kids help you and it might take twice as long. It might not look as pretty, but it also might bring that stress down because, like, hey, the point of the holidays is not to be stressed or to get the perfect picture or for your house to look magazine worthy. It's to be together and I mean, to celebrate the birth of Christ. And so I just think reframing even for your family of like you were even saying, Chris, of like, what are we going to say yes to? What's important to our family during this season? And let's focus on that and maybe let go of some of the other stuff and those expectations as well.
Well, guys, this was fun.
Yeah, it
This is
was
fun
fun.
to talk through the holidays and to share these memories and hear about that. And from the Teen Life podcast, we just want to thank you all so much for listening week in and week out and joining us on this journey of trying to be better for the teenagers in our lives. And so on behalf of the Teen Life team, we want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We will be shifting for the next few weeks to some kind of more clip episodes. We're kind of revisiting some of our really favorite moments over this last year from the Teen Life podcast. And so be sure to check that out over the next few weeks. I encourage you to subscribe to the Teen Life podcast. Click that subscription button. It ensures that you will hear us week in and week out. Follow us on social media with our incredible social media team and the content we provide there that's outside of the podcast, but so helpful. Review us on your favorite podcast app. It helps people hear more about us. Share it with a friend. And we will see you guys next week.